The art of communication is the language of leadership. The author and former presidential speechwriter James Humes once made a great statement. He said this. He said, "The art of communication is the language of leadership." That's a great quote. I'll say it again. The art of communication is the language of leadership. I remember the very first time that I read that. It took me a minute to really understand what was being said. There's a kind of a clever wordplay that happens there, but the statement is so true when you really understand what he was trying to communicate. A leader may have all of the gifts in the world. They may be the most intelligent person in the room, the most charismatic person in the room. Maybe they went to the best school. They've had every advantage you could possibly have. But if they cannot communicate, if they can't explain to those that they lead why and where and how, if they lack the ability to communicate what is needed for those that they lead to do what needs to be done, then the rest of it, those other qualities, those other skills, they just don't matter. Perhaps you're not a person who has leader stamped on your name tag. Maybe you're a mom or a dad, a husband or a wife, someone who goes to a job in a mid-level situation. Maybe you're not necessarily the leader. I would suggest this. The art of communication is a language in which we all must be fluent if we will be all that we potentially could be. A relationship that struggles with communication is a relationship that will always struggle. An employee who struggles to communicate is an employee who will always struggle. The same goes for employers. The same goes in every area of life. If we cannot communicate effectively, then we will always struggle. Now, effective communication does not necessarily mean that you know how to speak well, that you can stand in front of a crowd and captivate their attention for long periods of time. That's not necessarily what communication means. Communication takes many modes, many methods. There are a lot of ways to communicate, but whatever your way is, you must be skilled in sharing with others the ideas that need to be shared so they can do what needs to be done. I believe that two of the most important principles are shared in one verse in the Bible. Ephesians chapter 4 and verse number 5 says this. It says that we should speak the truth in love. If you want to master the art of communication, those two principles must be present in your life. Again, there are a lot of ways to do this, maybe the spoken way or maybe the written way. There are a lot of ways to communicate, but principles guiding those methods must include truth and love. When you're communicating, whatever it is you happen to communicate, make sure that what you're communicating is true. You see, when you communicate truth, it's about what needs to be said, what is actual, what is factual, and not what simply suits your needs. It's not about manipulation. It's not about emotion. It's about stating what is real. If you sacrifice truth as you attempt to communicate, what you're sacrificing is your ability to be heard. Because once those who are listening realize that you may not be telling them the truth, they stop listening. And once they stop listening, you no longer have the leverage to get done what needs to be done. Leaders in homes, leaders in relationships, leaders in workplace, leaders anywhere must have as a foundational principle of their communication truth. Speak the truth. The second part is also very important. These principles, they go together. You must speak the truth, but you must do it in love. I've spoken and written on this concept of love in the past, but love, properly understood, is doing what is best for the object of your love. Love is not an emotion. Love is a decision that we make to do what is best for the person we say we love. Therefore, love is not manipulative. It's not about me getting them to do what I want them to do. It's about me doing what is best for them. And when you pair the principle of truth with the principle of love, then what you do effectively is communicate in a way that is factual and helpful. If you use these principles to guide your communication, then your communication will be exactly what it needs to be. It will be appropriate. It will be encouraging. It will be helpful. Even when it's confrontational, the person receiving the confrontation, because that truth was spoken in love, they'll understand that it was spoken in a way that really desired to move them down the road in a way that was for their benefit. The art of communication is the language of leadership. The art of communication is a language in which we all must be fluent. The method, the mode is not as important as understanding the principles that undergird the way that you communicate. Speak the truth. Be honest. Do what's right in love for the benefit of the person to whom you are speaking. If we get a hold of this truth, if we understand what it is to love, if we're able to master the art of communication, then we will find success and we will fully live the lives and have the relationships that we were created by God to enjoy.